And it's a beautiful day out there. So much going on, but it looks like spring is on its way. That means my allergies are taking hold. So forgive me, I have a little bit of a headache and some allergy stuff going on because I'm not used to Maryland and the flora out here yet. My eyes get mad at all of that. Look, I'm Misha. I'm going to talk about your skin today and how it links to insulin resistance. Some of the ways that insulin resistance, are causing your skin issues, and the fact that it is an early warning sign. So we're going to go over 3 or 4 things that your skin may show up as with that early warning sign that you could be insulin resistant. So people ask all the time, how do I know? These things we're going to talk about this morning are a very good indicator that you're struggling with insulin resistance, and we're going to dive into it later. But I want you to know that since it's foodborne, since it's dietary and lifestyle, you don't have to wait to go in and have all kinds of expensive tests from your doctor to figure it out and start taking care of yourself for yourself. Okay, this just came through today. So I want to encourage everyone, whatever you choose, whether you choose to hear what I say, someone else, start taking control of your own health and your own life and stop giving all your power away. And that's like throughout life, through everything you do. We got trained somehow, I don't know, at least my generation got trained to kind of give our power away and rely on everyone else to save us, to fix us, whatever. I want to educate you a little bit so you can make better choices. And that's what we're going to do this morning. And we're going to start in with skin and insulin resistance. Well, I'm getting ready. You guys let me know. Yesterday what did we have? We had Connecticut. We had my primary state that I lived in for the most years, Washington State. We had Texas. We had a number of other places. Let me know where you're coming in from. I'm up in Maryland right now. So, Linda, I set up a store because I wanted to be able to put the products from this company in there. We haven't worked out how that works. You need to go to the link in my profile. So I don't get on TikTok live and just sell dresses and gadgets and stuff like that. I'm talking about a system. So, hey, from Washington State, where in Washington State? Melasma and dark skin issues. We're going to talk about how insulin resistance is causing some of those problems. Lakeland, Florida. I have friends that grew up with me. Spokane. My daughter lives in Spokane. I haven't been home to visit since November, but I need to go home and visit her and the kids soon. North Carolina, welcome in. And Florida is one state I haven't gotten to yet that I really want to get to visit. And I will sometime this year. Arizona, welcome in, you guys. This is amazing. So you got to go to the link in my bio, and that will take you to my landing page where you can find the product that I'm selling, that I'm talking about, the protocol that helped me with all the stuff up there. We're going to talk a little bit later about the things I suffered from. I realized I've been talking so much about all the links and the solutions. I haven't shared my story as much so that you can understand why I'm here talking. Because it was a lot. It was a lot that I was suffering with. Okay, let's dive into skin. Melasma was already mentioned. So let's deal with melasma and those dark skin patches called acanthosis nigricans first. When we have insulin resistance, I'm going to go into insulin resistance in a little bit more depth later. But right now, what I want you to understand is that it's causing a malfunction of energy uptake in your cells. Some cells, most cells, are resistant to getting that energy in, and that energy form is glucose. But some cells, like melanocytes, causing that dark skin coloration or that pigmentation in your skin, can become overactive. And now you start to have acanthosis nigricans. But I noticed it with my melasma because I had skin patches along the side of my face. I don't do all the contouring and stuff. I have very light makeup on. If I still have my melasma, you would still see it. Good morning from the Netherlands. So when melanocytes are overacting because they're taking in too much energy from insulin, now we have these patches where it's not just even skin color. We start to get dark skin color in patches across the body. But with the acanthosis nigricans, it happens to be where your skin rubs. So you might see it around your neckline, you might see it under your arms, around your bra line, in your groin. I've seen it on people around their ankles when they wear shorty shoes, you know. So those are an action of those skin cells called melanocytes. And we have many, many different skin cells taking up too much energy. So melasma and acanthosis nigricans can be caused by that. Getting your insulin resistance under control can help with the coloration of your skin. I don't know if I have a picture of me before with the dark rings around my neck, but I used to have dark rings around my neck. And I had these, yeah, I felt like I was a character off of Star Trek because I had so many patches of dark skin on both sides of my face. And this is very different than freckles and whatnot, right? But those things can be caused. So let's talk about skin tags, because this is another type of skin cell that can be overproductive in the face of excess insulin. So insulin resistance is really just excess insulin. It begins with hyperinsulinemia or too much energy being delivered to the cells. These ones are called keratinocytes. They're the ones that give your skin structure. So when those cells are overproductive and they're grabbing too much of that energy, well, it doesn't actually tighten up your skin. There's too many of the skin cells being produced and they start to break down and it pokes out in these little column-like or mushroom-like projections from your skin. They will go away when you get your insulin resistance under control. You don't have to have them cut off or lasered off or burnt off or anything like that. When you do those things, you haven't addressed the root cause and they continue to come back. So if you address the insulin resistance that caused that malfunction in the keratinocytes in the first place, they naturally go away. Mine did within 3 months. And I'll tell, if I can tell you guys a story this morning. So when I started on the system, I started it to lose weight, which is not what I mean. I lost 50 pounds, so that's great, right? But also to get my diabetes under control. My blood pressure got under control. All of these things started happening. But one day I was on the phone with somebody. We were talking about the system. I was helping them understand it. And they said, my skin tags are gone, Misha. And I'm like, what? Wait, what? I didn't know all the stuff about insulin resistance 2.5 years ago. So I waited patiently. We got done with the phone call. I helped her through all the things. And I literally ran to my bathroom, stripped off my shirt and started looking because I called it grandma skin, like, skin tags under the arms and stuff. I'm like, oh, well, you're in your 50s. You're a grandma now. This is just what happens. Your skin starts to break down and you get these skin tags. I turned 60 on Monday. I have not one skin tag, not one on my body. I'm not going to lift up my shirt and show my underarms, but I've got no skin tags on my body anywhere. Whereas 3 years ago, I had them all over in my groin and under my arms. They were starting to show up on my neck. And I thought that was just what I was going to live with. You'll see skin tags on younger people too. If you see skin tags on yourself, even one or two, you're starting to have an insulin problem. And the Andrew family, I need to know what the how was for, because I looked down and saw it, and sometimes I ramble off. So is it the skin tags going away? How do they go away? Is that what you're asking me? So those are the easy things. And in fact, I've done multiple videos on 5 signs that you can tell that you're insulin resistant. And skin tags and those dark skin patches are always 2 of the things I include in those 5 ways you can tell, right? Those are the early signs. You're starting to see those dark skin patches. You're starting to see those skin tags. You need to start addressing your insulin before it causes problems with everything else in the body, because it does affect everything else in the body. And more that science is looking at this new term, insulin resistance, the more they're finding the links to all these things they couldn't explain before. At least they're finding links to it. Now, some science they haven't, they've looked and they've said condition A and insulin resistance, and they've found a prevalence of insulin resistance with the condition. Some studies have not explained yet how that's happening, but they've found the links. So I want to preface that, okay? Um, Skin issues, we're going to talk about psoriasis, and we're going to talk about acne today. And I want to go into those as well. But the skin tags, if you're talking about how do they go away, when you reduce the amount of insulin in your system and you start to get your body more normalized to insulin, and we all need insulin, but we need it in the right amounts, then those skin cells aren't failing or overproducing or having this structural problem. And the skin takes your skin starts to normalize again. Now, I'm 60, I have a little bit of a neck under here. I was also 50 pounds heavier. So, but 2 years ago, when I first lost the weight, this skin really drooped down. It's tightened up a lot since then. Your skin can rebound a little bit, okay? But you've got to get the insulin resistance under control and get the insulin levels down. The insulin is not a bad thing. It's just that we have too much of it. When we look at things like psoriasis and acne, psoriatic patients, in studies, they found up to 81% of psoriatic patients have insulin resistance. And this is whether they're heavy or thin, young or old. This prevalence of psoriasis and insulin resistance linked together is huge. And the worse the psoriasis, the more the insulin resistance in a lot of these patients. So how is that happening? Well, they don't exactly know how, but the best explanation I'm going to try and give you is this. Insulin resistance also causes a lot of inflammation in the body as the cells start to malfunction. There are these little messengers called cytokines that are proteins that are put out by your cells. So some of them are pro-inflammatory and they're good in certain instances. We need some inflammation in our body in response to trauma and whatnot at certain times. But with insulin resistance, those pro-inflammatory cytokines, those little messengers, are happening too much. And when we don't need them, that inflammation is causing us to be even more insulin resistant. And you'll hear me talk about this a lot. A lot of the symptoms and the disorders that come along with insulin resistance, there's this positive, I call it a negative, but it's a positive feedback loop where one thing can cause the other. One thing may cause insulin resistance, and insulin resistance may cause the thing. So let's talk about inflammation and insulin resistance because it's huge with psoriasis and acne, right? Those are inflammatory disorders. Um, when you have insulin resistance caused by too much sugar, that's causing responses primarily in your fat, from your fat cells, your muscle cells, and your liver that are creating these pro-inflammatory cytokines that are going out and causing inflammation throughout the body. If you're genetically predisposed to psoriasis, it's going to set it off and you're going to have psoriatic flares, those white, pinkish, scaly patches of skin that are annoying and painful. But getting the insulin resistance under control, I've had a number of people who've had psoriasis. There's one lady, and it's been a while since I've talked to her, so forgive me. I have hundreds of people that I talk to, but she had really bad psoriatic flares, and within months of starting the Feel Great system, her psoriatic flare stopped. And as long as she stayed consistent with the system and consistent with keeping her insulin resistance under control, she was not having flares and her skin presented normal. Now, understand that with those instances, things are still under the ground, under the surface, right? So you've got to keep taking care of the root cause. And that cause is inflammation caused by insulin resistance. So where I was going with that a minute ago is sometimes you can be triggered just like you have signals from insulin resistance that are causing inflammation. If you have an injury or a trauma to your body and now the inflammation is up in your body, that inflammation in itself is causing you to be insulin resistant. Now, if your diet is right for this perfect little storm, your insulin resistance climbs, your inflammation climbs, and they just keep stair stepping up and it gets worse and worse. So getting that under control is a big deal. Does heavy drinking cause insulin resistance? Yes. Just the short answer, yes. Yes. So, I mean, there's a lot of different alcohols out there, right? But beer and a lot of wine and stuff that has a lot of alcoholic sugars, go through your liver. Your liver has to process those. So non-alcoholic fatty liver is common with insulin resistance. When the liver is not processing properly, it starts to create malfunction with how it stores and delivers fats, and it starts to cause some insulin resistance. But getting your insulin resistance under control can help with that as well. Do you have to give up all of your drinks, your alcoholic drinks, to stay insulin sensitive? No, you don't. So look, this is, if we look at a scale, you guys, what I want everyone on my life to understand is I'm not trying to put anybody out in left field, or take a group of people and send them to the moon and say this is the perfect environment, here we go. uh, so I am not a lesbian. Whoever said that, you guys stop making these assumptions online. Like, it's so damaging, and it just tells more about you than anyone else. So now look, so I'm not trying to make people go to some like odd place. I want people to be able to live a sustainable, real life. Um, and that means that in today's world, in today's environment, we all have things we're faced with besides the stresses and the time restraints and the family demands. And then we get to the food that we have available. I don't want people to think that they have to go strictly carnivore or strictly vegan or this or that. Like, look, it's a real world. We're real people. We have days we do good and we have days that we don't do as good. And what I want is something that's going to help us balance. And that's why the system worked for me. So what causes pain on the shoulder under the scapula? I'm not a doctor, guys. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm just a woman who suffered with all this stuff and got better. So I can't diagnose you or tell. And there's so much more going on with pain under the shoulders and scapula that even a doctor would have to understand to give you that answer. Okay. Um, Good morning, Karen. Good morning, everybody who's come in. Okay, so that's skin issues. And so I was hearing Dr. Barry talk about, by the way, he has a number of resources. And if you guys want to go hear a little bit more about this, he doesn't break down the why, but he gives 7 different skin issues, including, oh, come on, I know the name of it, but I'm not thinking of it right now. The pimply type skin bumps under the arms, and it shows up with the acanthosis nigricans and a few other issues. And he gives all the resources for where he found the links to insulin resistance with all of those. It's 7 skin signs of insulin resistance. You'll be able to find that on YouTube. If you want just a little bit more, I think it's about a 13-minute video, information on some of the stuff that I'm talking about. A lot of my information comes from Dr. Bickman, my favorite metabolic scientist, and happens to be one of the top metabolic scientists in the world. He started out as a scientist and was not metabolically focused until he started like wanting to understand why people were so sick. And when he started finding that this metabolism dysfunction, which is insulin resistance for most of us, is at the root of almost every disease and disorder that we have today, he really focused in on metabolic function, and that became his specialty. And that's all he deals with. He has a podcast on YouTube called Insulin IQ. Go listen to that too if you're interested. He's a great guy to follow. Okay, so that's skin issues, a very brief breakdown of some of the skin issues, but yes, they're very highly linked to insulin resistance. So now let's talk about what insulin resistance is, why it's happening to you, and how you can overcome it, because that's all important too. Say, great, there's all these links, and now I understand that this is causing that, but so what? What do I do? Well, we need to understand that our food has changed. I say this every single morning. Our food has changed from what it used to be. Our food is no longer as nutritious as it used to be. It doesn't have fibers in it that it used to have. It doesn't have enzymes in it that it used to have. It doesn't deliver the nutrients in it that we used to have because of genetic modification, because of non-crop rotation, because of a lot of things that are going on with our food. And we're all very aware that this is happening. But we just kind of like put blinders on and are like, okay, it's happening, but I'm just going to eat and I'm not going to, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Well, you got to care, because that's what's making you sick. It's making you sick to the point that you have insulin resistance and you end up with all this stuff that's listed up above. Okay. So when we start to break it down, one of the biggest things that's changed that's causing all of this problem, besides the deficiency of nutrients, is that the fibers have been stripped out of our foods. So, fiber, although it's not an essential nutrient, is a nutrient that's a super nutrient that we need if we're ingesting carbohydrates. What fiber does, amazing, I'm going to say something here because it's heavy on my mind this morning. It always concerns me when people are wanting to do all these drugs for weight loss. There are more and more lawsuits coming out against those drugs, tirzepatide, Mounjaro, Wegovy, all of those things, semaglutide, Ozempic. One of the things that's happening with them is the drugs are forcing your body to slow down the digestion of food. So now you feel a little bit nauseated and you just are not as hungry because the food is sitting in your stomach a long time. Okay. But you haven't addressed why that you're having this food. It's not like you have a healthy way of slowing down the delivery of the food. Your stomach is just not contracting and squeezing like it's supposed to. Now some of that food is sitting in there, possibly rotting in there, causing some more inflammation, causing some more dysbiosis or negative gut bacteria. Your intestinal tract is not able to move it through as well. Now you're having constipation, and in severe forms, it can become gastroparesis, where the intestines freeze up and cause a blockage. So, chicken skin is a whole very different thing than skin tags, and uh, those are unrelated as far as I know, but I can look it up. I'd love to look up chicken skin. I used to work in an office where we had a lot of patients come in, but I had a esthetician and they struggled with it. But you know what? That's a great question because I've never thought of that. So I would love to look up chicken skin and see what research I can find, if there's any that links to insulin resistance and what that mechanism is. So thanks for that question. Um, but when we talk about these drugs, the GLP-1, glucagon-like peptide, and they're agonists, meaning they increase the action of this peptide in the system. One of the ways that it works is by slowing down the delivery of food from the stomach into the intestines, right? So you're staying fuller longer, you're feeling full, you're feeling this is just one of the actions. I'm not going to get into all of them, but you're feeling a little bit nauseated, so you just don't want to eat. Well, eating less is a lot different than getting in the right nutrients. Eating less calories doesn't mean the right nutrients to feed your body. So this not one studies have been showing now that with those drugs, 40%, and some of them say up to 50% of the weight loss is muscle loss. That muscle loss, you're not likely to regain that muscle from that loss after you come off of those drugs. So, sure, you lost 50 pounds, but do you want to lose 50 pounds by losing approximately 20 to 25 pounds of muscle? Hey, Jeep girl, that's what's happening with these drugs. These are the sides of it that nobody wants to talk about, that nobody is talking about. Because if you knew all this stuff, well, maybe some people are still just like, I don't care. I just want to lose the weight. I want to look thin. I want to be better. I watched a gal who was doing those drugs, ended up in the hospital, started gaining the weight back. And so she went back on the drugs and then realized she was killing herself and went back off. But we're in this got to have it quick society. And it's not working for us. It's making you for so much more sick. CMOS, I haven't done a lot of research on those, but I'm going to talk about a protocol that has science backing behind it that actually helps with all of these issues. So I appreciate everybody coming on and giving their input, but I'm talking about science-backed solutions for insulin resistance. And there's enough studies behind it that it's in the prescriber's digital reference. I don't see CMOS and berberine in the prescriber's digital reference. They may work. I tried some of those things, didn't work for me. The system did, and we're going to get into that, but I want you to understand why. A few of those on the list: PCOS, skin takes, eczema, stubborn weight, fatigue, headaches, thyroid. You're most likely insulin resistant. So listen up because we're going to talk about a little bit more about that. You guys, I just realized I spilt tea on my shoulder. And then I'll come back to those in a minute, but I want to get through this part of it because it's Friday. So today I will talk about the protocol more than any other day. So look, if we understand our food is imperfect, if we understand we're not getting the nutrition, if we understand that our food is passing through us too quickly, we were talking about medications and what I'm going to talk about with these two products. Okay. The two products that I use: a tea in the morning and a pre-meal drink before I eat anything. So that glucagon-like peptide agonist, that increasing of that glucagon-like peptide that allows you to feel a little bit fuller, these both naturally induce a small amount of that. I have a video from Dr. Huberman on it. I will be doing a video from Dr. Bickman, who wrote this book, where he absolutely states that for this action, he loves this particular tea. And he states in there, this, in his opinion, is the best tea on the market for these satiety actions, as well as a number of others. So the tea induces some of that glucagon-like peptide action, wherein your gut's a little distended, and so you feel a little bit full, and you just are not as hungry. But it's a natural action, and so it's one that should be occurring if we were getting these nutrients in our system anyway. And then the fibers in this also elicit a similar action, where your stomach is fuller and it's slowing less quickly, but not the fibers are not creating this slowing down of the food delivery because your stomach is paralyzing. It's actually strengthening up your stomach. It's strengthening up your intestines, but the fibers in it are helping the delivery of the food go through less quickly, so you stay fuller longer. Can you see the difference? If you can see the difference between a drug-induced slowing of the stomach and one that's strengthening your stomach, put a 1 in the comments, because this is important. You can do a drug and get similar actions, but you're paralyzing your gut. And some people are saying now, I was listening to another guy talk who actually worked for the drug companies, who said that after you come off of those drugs, your stomach is now is slightly in that paralyzed state and never really goes back to normal for many people. So now you have this problem with your intestinal system and your gut from those drugs, instead of putting something in that's helping you stay satiated by slowing down the food delivery while building your stomach strength, while building probiotics in your system, while allowing your intestinal system to get stronger. So which one sounds better to you guys? Because that's huge. Yeah. So I hope, does that I've never talked about it like that. Does that make sense to people? Partly why the system is working so well. You're getting a lot of similar actions that those drugs are giving you, but they're building strength from the inside out in your system so that you can more naturally live like we're supposed to live. And you're not causing permanent paralysis or overwork of. So there's also, I'm going to answer your question in a second. There's also pancreatic issues with it because the pancreas is working too hard. There's problems with gallstones. There's problems with the liver that have been reported. And there's been a lot of problems with people either having thyroid problems or losing their thyroid because of those medications. And those are not highly talked about. And some people don't care. I've talked to some people about it and they don't care. They just want to lose the weight. And if that's you, this is probably not the place for you. I want you to get healthy and to get that weight off and to get all of these things better in a way that's strengthening you from the inside out. So the fiber source in the product is actually 7 different fibers, soluble and insoluble fibers. So it's not like Benefiber, Metamucil. So they are very specific. I'll pull it up here in a second. The list of fibers is actually on the link when you go to the product and look at the product. Everything is there. But 3 of the fibers, if you were to look up fibers that help reduce glucose spikes, 3 of those fibers are in this particular fiber source. We'll talk about those different fibers, why insoluble and soluble, in just a second, but it's not a single source of fiber because that single source of fiber isn't going to do the job in the way that this does. And so Zuby says this product has helped your fibromyalgia pain symptoms. Staff are noticing the way I walk is better. And so, although I was not formally diagnosed with fibromyalgia because I had so many other diagnoses, I had body wide aches and pains, I had nerve pains and neuropathy. I was just in pain, and I had to, when I walked, I had to, you guys, if you can imagine, if you went out to walk and you had to consciously, every single step, force yourself to move your body in a way that looked normal so you weren't clunky and chunky because of the pain, that's what my life was like. Every step was not just physical pain, it was mental focus to try and not appear so broken down when I was in public. I don't have that issue now. I just walk. I have dreams of running again. By the way, I heard somebody say that women, especially after 30 years of age, really don't run or sprint. And that's a problem for us. So, yeah, I need to start learning to run again. Okay. Okay, KKK. Yeah, so Zuby, yeah, it's painful and people don't get it when you have this fibromyalgia pain. Plus, I lost both hips, and both hips have been replaced. My left knee has been replaced. My right knee was supposed to be replaced 2 years ago, and it no longer needs to be replaced. What? How did I go from having almost no meniscus on one side and having a loss of synovial fluid and a loss of strength in ligaments and tendons to having a knee that functions normally? How? Because I stopped the inflammation in my body caused by the insulin resistance. So those tissues were able to start regenerating. And by focusing on nutrients in my food, which both of these products are highly packed in nutrients, especially this one, it's not just fibers, it's vitamins and minerals that are specifically designed to help with metabolism and some phytosterols, phytonutrients in there that are helping your body. So it's building strength from the inside out, but giving you those same actions of satiety so that you're not wanting to overeat because you're not getting too much sugar delivered too quickly and spiking your insulin constantly. Now, I talk all the time about how it takes about 8 hours for insulin to come down. That's when you're insulin resistant. So if you are insulin sensitive, your insulin levels can actually come down in 3, maybe 4 hours, but you have to have trained your body to utilize insulin correctly, and we're not doing that now. The system helps you with that. So that's how we go from eating all day long every 2 hours. So if you're eating every 2 hours, you're training your insulin to be high, and then you're not ever getting into that insulin um, reduced state where this thing called glucagon can come out and do its job. I'm going to go into all of those things if you guys want to hear it. So you're going to go to my profile link up top, tap on the link, and I'll just show you where to get it. But you guys, it's simple. It's real food-based products. It's a tea that I drink every morning, and it's giving me some of that glucagon-like peptide action, way more than a regular bagged tea, because one of the components in here, chlorogenic acids, is 375 times more potent than in any bagged tea of the same tea, and it's yerba mate tea. This is specifically Unamate tea, but it's ethically harvested. We get it from farmers who are picking the leaves at the right time. What you don't realize is that a lot of those bagged teas, they're just machine harvesting it, and then it goes in. So you're getting teas that are underripe, you're getting leaves that are ripe, you're getting leaves that are overripe. In that mix, you never know what's actually in there and whether this cup of tea is going to be equal to the next cup of tea you drink. With us, it's ethically harvested. They pick the tea leaves at the right time of ripeness. That's what gets shipped to us. It gets tested for these components before it goes into production, during production, and before it comes out to you. 3 stages. It's tested to make sure that it has what we're saying it has in it, so that you can be assured you're getting that 375 times the chlorogenic acid as a normal bagged tea. Um, So let's talk about that. Let me finish up with I want to talk about the prediabetes and tell me you're on pre-diabetes. Are you on medications? Are you just fasting? What's going on, Abe? So that's the first thing that I do in the morning. Again, as normal, this is about 15 hours of fasting for me. At 10 o'clock, I will have done 16 hours of fasting. This helps keep me full. It gives me energy. It gives nutrients to my brain, so it's shutting down hunger while it's giving me mental clarity. It has anti-cancer, antioxidant properties, is loaded with nutrients. And I am going to be doing a video on the nutrients in here. My weeks have been really crazy lately. I'm sorry I'm behind on my videos, but the tea is amazing. Then we get to the fiber. When I do eat, all I do is I have one of these 10 minutes before I eat. Now, remember the GLP-1 type action? What this does is it goes in my gut, it starts to fill up, it starts to gel up, and it starts to swell when it hits the acids in my gut. So now I'm feeling a little bit full before I even eat. It takes that 10-minute window for that to start activating. Now, when I do eat, that sticky, thicky matrix of fiber encapsulates those foods and slows them down from delivering into the intestines. It's not keeping nutrients from you. It's just not having everything hit the pipeline all at once. It's like time releasing it so that your sugar levels are normalized, more normalized, and your insulin levels are more normalized from the foods you're currently eating. So much so, when you guys were asking about it, scientific studies that say this reduces a blood glucose spike by 20%. And there's scientific studies on that. If you want those studies, let me know. Or you can just go to unicityscience.org and I can put that in. But it also reduces an insulin spike by 13%. That's huge. That's what got me reversed from diabetes. I had an A1C of 7.4. The last time we checked it, it was 5.3. My blood pressure went down from 180 over 150 to 110 over 70. No medications, no prediabetes medications, no medications. The system, and I do magnesium, D3K2, calcium at night, and maybe some omega 3s. I'm not as consistent with the omega 3s. But that's it. The system is what reversed my diabetes, and some dietary changes. Yeah, Jeep girl, send me that message. We need to talk. Oh, okay. So the link, you guys, I'm so sorry. We have been trying to figure out how to get these products on the TikTok shop, and there's been some hiccups with that. So I have a shop. I've been approved for that. But just with compliance with the company, I have not been able to work that out, although there may be other products I put in there later. But if you want the products, you've just got to do this. I'm gonna show you right now. If I don't have you're gonna go to my profile link. Okay. And when you get to my profile, I should probably disable the shop until I can figure this out. Okay, so when you get to my profile, you'll see my picture up here, and you'll see these red lights. Right under that is a link in profile. So go to that link, and that's going to take you to my right there. This link, click on that, and that will take you to my landing page where you can order the products. So this is important too, and I appreciate the company for this. If you order on Amazon, eBay, Walmart, you're not getting the guarantees because there are unauthorized distributors on there. When you click on this link, I want to show you, when you click on this, it takes you directly to the company. I am not housing stuff and storing stuff and all of that. You know that it's been handled properly the whole way through because it's delivering straight from the company. You just want to make sure my name is on the top. You'll get the 30 tea and the 60 pre-meal drink. But this link is where you want to go. Jeep Girl said she's going to contact me on WhatsApp if you have questions. Right there, just click on that and message me. I'm good with that. I love answering questions for people. Also, here's a website. For those of you who asked for the sources, there's a ton of information here on my website. And there's an FAQ page if you want to sit down and read through the most commonly asked questions. All of that's there. And what else is in here? Oh, right, the products. That's where we were getting. So there's there's a ton of information both on the Unimate and on the balance, the both components that are in the system, and the nutritional panels are right here. Okay, so you want to go look at that, have at it, go look at it, ask me, but these are the fibers that are in here. Okay, and then there's a panel of vitamins and minerals. See all of that in here that are specifically there because they've been proven to work with your metabolism. Okay, so I hope that answers all of those questions. I wanted to go over this too. I have so many windows open. Let's do this. I want to show you guys. Now, if you have more questions about the system, please ask me. It's important. I don't talk about it as much because I'm just always talking about the links. But in reality, what good does it do me to talk about the links if I'm not telling you the how I got better? And I want to show you what that looked like for me. If I can get myself together. I say this every morning, you guys. It's just a constant state of being for me. Okay, so when we look at this, this is me before. So up here in the left-hand corner, that was me before I started the system. I was struggling. I was on diabetes medications, all of the stuff, metformin. I never did Mounjaro, Ozempic. Those things scared the crap out of me. But I did do metformin. It's supposed to be the safest one, but my body couldn't tolerate it. I was sick. But my joints were failing, my health was failing, my blood pressure was out of control, I was sick. This is my cane and my walker. You can't really see it in this picture, but there's a disability plate on my little purple car there. That was me about 6 months after when I was ready to just get rid of that walker and cane. And I was donating them because I no longer needed them. And I've been able to get back in the gym now. So from this to this, and getting rid of those things is what this did for me without all of the damaging medications. You don't even get the landing page. You get 2 white screens and you don't even get my web page. You may need to clear your cache. I just clicked on the links. I'll let you see again, but I just clicked on them and they're working just fine over here. So let's take a look again. If we go to my webs, or if we go to my page, pull. Okay. So let's reverse this back. If you go to this page and we click on this link, I'm going to show you it's working. So there it goes. It went white for a second and then it showed up with my landing page. If you're having problems, you can just go to Linktree and type in Misha Fayant and it will pull me up. When you click on this link, it does go white for a second, but then it shows up as the page. So those links are working right. Also, if we go to this and we click on my website, which I just did a minute ago, it's all showing up. It could be that you just need to clear your cache with your phone. That happens sometimes. And that's common. It's not a big deal, but that's maybe all you need to do. You're very welcome, Abe. I hope I'm probably slaughtering your name, but okay. So the other thing you can do is just type into your Google browser mishafayant.com. You might have to type in a slash and BH for Brilliant Health, and it will come up that way as well. But it's all the links are working. And if not, here I can put my number in and I can, you know what, I can just text it to you as well. I have to be careful because sometimes TikTok doesn't like when I do this. Okay, so if you want to get a hold of me and you're having problems with the links, just text me there. If you can't get the WhatsApp link and stuff open, that is a US number, so it's a +1. but you can just text me. Please, I try to tell people this all the time. I am often on the phone in meetings helping people. So it's not, if you call me, I may or may not answer the phone depending on what's going on. It's always best to text me first and then we can set up a time that we can talk, or I can just shoot you a text back, even if I'm in another meeting, and get you the help you need. Okay. All right. Does anybody have questions about any of this? I am going to put this picture back up because, and you guys, I actually do answer the phone. I do answer the texts. You will get to talk to me. I'm not, gatekeeping anything. I really love to help people. And I want you guys to understand that, like, the best parts of my day are when I'm able to help people. Sometimes I can't help, and so I just try to give them whatever resources I can think of. But if I can help, I will help, and I really appreciate you guys. But all of the things on this list are some of the things I was suffering with, and I don't have those issues now anymore. If I can tell a couple of little stories. You know what, Jeep Girl, I thought about that this morning. I'm working on some ways to be more approachable, right? But I have not gotten enough information on lipedema, to talk about it. I'm still working on that though. So look for that. I'm going to make another reminder for myself, but um, we'll be talking about that. Check in with me next week and we'll see what we can do with that. But unlike some of the people, like I love Jamie Not So Large, and he does a great job of entertaining. I'm not an entertaining person. I'm quirky. I'm stupid, quirky sometimes, but I love to learn and educate. So that's my gig. And I hope that people are getting uh, information that they need. And along the way, if they choose to do the Feel Great system and actually get their health back from all these things, amazing. Zuby, thank you. It's my, you know what? There's a thing called the Clifton Strengths. How many of you guys have heard about the Clifton Strengths Assessment? Have you guys heard about that? So we all have like 35 different strengths, 35, 36 different strengths, and they rank them. So they don't like you to say that you have a weakness. Consistency is one of my lower strengths. You can type it in, Clifton Strengths. It's a really amazing little assessment that will help you understand yourself better. Couple of my top strengths are learner and positivity and connectedness. So I like to connect the dots. I love to learn and I love to find positive outcomes to whatever's happening. Those are some of the top five strengths. And so it means a lot to me when people can link into that and find value with it. So thank you for the kind comments, you guys. It means a lot to me. Yes, positivity. Sometimes it doesn't sound like positivity because with my autism, I'm also always trying to work through things and make sense of things. So I continue to go back to stuff, not because I'm being negative, but because I'm trying to make my brain understand how certain things happened or how certain people acted in a certain way. And at the end, though, when I can get those pieces all put together, then I find a positive outcome. If somebody hurts me, usually it's because, well, I needed to learn a lesson and now we're not going to go through that again, right? So that's a positive thing for me moving forward and learning how to deal with those situations better and maybe helping somebody else deal with it as well. That kind of leads into why I'm here. I went through so much with my health, worked in medical offices, worked closely with doctors, was friends with doctors. They couldn't help me. And one of the most telling things was when I worked in a hormone clinic with a doctor that I felt was brilliant. And she called me in after we ran so many tests, blood tests, saliva tests, urine tests, scans, all of this stuff. And she brought me into her office and said, at the end of the day, you have the worst metabolic type that I've ever seen, that I could ever see in my office. I don't have an answer for you. There's nothing that I can ever do to help you. You're always going to be heavy. You're always going to be sick. And your lifespan is probably greatly shortened, and I'm really sorry. And she almost had tears in her eyes telling me this. So why do I come on here and talk about it? Because when I found something as simple as a tea in the morning and 2 pre-meal drinks, a pre-meal drink that I have before my biggest meals of the day, and it literally turned my life around. How could I not share it? Because if it happened to me with all the background and education I had, it's gotta be happening to thousands of other people who are just trusting their doctor and saying, "Okay, well, my life is, sorry for the language, for the, what do they say, the fruity language, but my life is shit and it's done and I'm over and they can't help me, so I'm just done." I don't want people to feel like that. I want you to understand that there can be solutions that are natural and actually building your health to, help you get better. Like, you don't have to live with that crappy diagnosis. Right? Positivity. Okay, guys. So it's about that time of day. I'm a little bit short today, but I have a lot going on this morning, so I'm going to go get to it. We've shifted up my schedule a little bit. So I won't have my grandson. My son is deploying, so he's going to keep my grandson home on Friday nights until he goes, which means I have Saturday mornings freed up. Does anybody want to join me live on a Saturday morning or two for a while? And just chat about stuff or have me answer more stuff. If you do, I'm more than happy to show up. If you're good with Monday through Friday, let me know. Okay, yes. All right. So, is there something in particular you guys want to talk about tomorrow morning? Because I'll get up early on a Saturday to hang out with you guys since I'm not going to be hanging out with my grandson. Is there something you want to talk about? Anything that's bothering you that maybe I can link for you to help you understand? Maybe I just talk more about, how about this? Can we do this for tomorrow? Can I just dive into a little bit more about these products and why they're working? Like I did this morning, explaining the like very, very brief description of um, GLP-1 and how that's happening and how the fiber is creating health and how the tea is creating health. I think I'm going to focus on that tomorrow. Migrants are not my special, right? Like we're talking about insulin resistance, keep it on track. You guys, I may be smart, but I'm not diving into everything. I don't want to even dive into everything. That's too much of a poke the bear thing. Okay, so we'll talk about that. And then I won't have as much research behind it. But if you guys come in the morning and you have questions, there's a lot that I can really talk about. And if there's videos you want me to do in specific that you can keep going back to, let me know those. I've been trying to catch up with a lot of things. Oh, I also wanted to say, I'll do a video on this too. I'm going to be, if anybody is in the Toronto area, I'm currently in Maryland. By the way, if you're in Maryland, in the Baltimore area, and you want to meet up and you want to just sit down and have a chat, or you want to bring people in and sit down with me and chat about all this stuff, I'm more than happy to do that. It's great to get me out of this house. I love my space, so I don't leave as often as I should. But next week I'll be in Toronto, in the Toronto area, and we have a great office up there. I can either come meet people, or you can come to the office and meet with me. But if you want to meet up and you're in the Toronto area, let me know because I'll be there. I'll be driving up on Tuesday, so I'll be there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and I'm not sure about Sunday yet. So, Jeep Girl, I'm about a half hour north of Baltimore. I think you're an hour south, aren't you? We should find a place in between and just meet up. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to dive in more to the solutions tomorrow, like the fiber and the tea, and why they're working, why it's important to understand how these are working, because we talk all week long about the links and why insulin resistance is the cause. But again, I feel like I'm missing that gap of really explaining why this is working and building strength. And I feel like we tapped into that a little bit this morning, which I'm really happy for, but we'll tap into it some more tomorrow, as well as answer more questions. And so bring people who are suffering with any of these things. We're going to go over it. We're going to take care of the answers I can give. And then when you have questions like the lipedema thing, I will be looking into those. But man, you guys have me looking up a lot of stuff. And actually, you know what? I want to say this too, because I love you all so much. But as I'm reading through stuff, as I'm looking up stuff and reading through research papers and everything, I'm like, "You know what? These guys are really getting me to look into stuff that maybe I wouldn't have taken the time to look into before, and I'm learning a lot along the way too, so thank you. Thank you for that. Because yeah, with Learner being one of the top 3, you guys keeping me focused on what to learn is amazing. If you were to walk through my house, you would see books in every single room, and yes, even in the bathroom of my house, there are books everywhere from, subconscious and spiritual stuff to all of this metabolism and fiber and illness stuff. So, all right, enough of that. I'm going to see you guys in the morning. Bring your questions. We're going to talk about the solutions more in depth so you can understand why this really works, why people like Jeep Girl and a number of other people that have been talking have been saying it works, not just for me, but for all of them. I'm going to run. I got a call to get on. Love you all. Thanks for hanging out with me again. We'll see you tomorrow.